Chapter 12.3, Using Proportional Relationships. This is another very simple chapter where you're just doing proportions for every question. And these are the types of questions that show up a lot on exams, and they're very simple. So it's really important that you know how to answer them. It says find the indicated dimension using the measurements shown in the figure and the properties of similar triangles. So basically, for every question in this chapter, okay, you're gonna have similar triangles, and you gotta find the segment that's missing. And whenever you have similar triangles, corresponding sides are proportional. Okay, so this side compared to this side has to be equal to this side compared to this one. Let me put a variable here. Let me put well, whatever. I'll just use AB as my variable because that's what we're gonna look for. Ignore this little scratch here. Okay, so I would just set up a proportion. 1 over AB. There's several different ways you could set up the proportion. One way would be 1 over AB equals 1.6 over 7.2. You could have also set it up 1.6 over 7.2 equals 1 over AB. And there's even a couple other ways you could have done it as well. They all give you the same answer because you end up multiplying and dividing by the same numbers. Alright, so just to not confuse anybody, I'll just do my first one. 1 over AB equals 1.6 over 7.2. I'm comparing this side over this side equals this side over this side. Alright, if I'm comparing from here to here, I got to continue that pattern with the other fraction, this one to this one. And then you just multiply diagonally and divide, and you'll have your answer. So it's very simple. AB is going to equal 7.2 divided by 1.6, and your answer is going to be 4.5. The height of this palm tree is 4.5. Again, this comes up a lot on exams, and it's so simple. You need to know how to solve this because it's very simple. All right, let me just explain that in Spanish, and then we'll go through a couple more examples, and we'll be done quick with this one. Okay, en este capítulo estamos básicamente en cada problema vamos a tener dos triángulos similares donde tienen que encontrar la medida de un segmento de un lado, y para encontrar el lado que falta tienen que hacer una proporción y resolver esa proporción en cada problema. Ahora, para hacer la proporción, hay varias maneras de poner la proporción correctamente, ¿ok? Depende de cómo uno quiere mirarlo. Yo lo hice comparando este lado es igual este lado sobre este lado, que en este caso, este es el segmento que estamos buscando, cuánto mide, ¿ok? Así que yo hice XY sobre AB es igual a ZY sobre BC. Ok, así es como yo lo hice. Así que hice 1 sobre AB es igual a 1.6 sobre 7.2. Multipliqué diagonalmente y después dividí para coger mi respuesta. Así es como se hacen todos los problemas en esta sección. Es bien fácil. Otra vez, la proporción lo podía haber hecho de otra manera y todavía coger lo correcto. Podía haber hecho 1.6 sobre 7.2 igual a 1 sobre AB, y hay más maneras también, okay? Alright, so same thing right here. We got two triangles basically. I mean, they're always going to disguise these questions in a word problem. And this is a very common one where they're talking about a flagpole. That comes up a lot in exams. And you got to realize that that it's basically just two similar triangles. All right, so I would set up my proportion. Look, they're doing it. I said there's several ways to correctly set it up. The way the book is setting it up is they're comparing this side over this side. Again, if you start, like, if whatever triangle you start with, you got to continue that pattern. So the book is comparing H over 72, so then they got to put that's equal to this side over this one. So if I start with the triangle on the right and put it over the triangle on the left, I got to do the same thing when I compare the other sides. Now you would just multiply diagonally. They make it look a little bit more complicated. I'm not going to write it the way they did it because I don't like that way. So basically, if you multiply diagonally, it's going to be 48h equals 128 times 72. Let me work that out real quick on my calculator. 128 times 72, which gives me 9,216. And then to solve for h, I would divide 9,216 over 48. So the flagpole is going to be 192 inches tall. All right. By the way, one thing I wanna let you guys know, I did not put this on the homework, but a lot of these questions, I didn't put it on the homework because I want you guys to just concentrate on the basics of solving the proportion. But whenever they have problems like these with inches, be careful because they like to switch up, like put some in inches and some in feet to confuse you, and then you got to also convert it from feet to inches or from inches to feet, which makes it more complicated. I did not put that in today's homework, but I'm just letting you know. I had some questions like that I purposely kept out just to keep it simple. All right, but just letting you know. All right, so aquí otra vez tenía dos triángulos similares donde tenemos que encontrar la medida de este lado. Como dije anteriormente, hay más de una manera para hacer la proporción correctamente. El libro lo está haciendo comparando este lado a este lado. Así que como ellos pusieron h sobre 72, tengo que seguir ese patrón con el otro lado y poner 128 sobre 48 aquí. A mí no me gusta como ellos escriben esto, creo que es más fácil de mi manera, donde multiplico 128 por 72 y lo que me dé lo divido por 48 y eso me da la respuesta. Alright, so again, the answer is 192 inches. Alright, as you can see, it's the same thing every time. So I'm going to put it 6 over h equals 8 over, you know what, just to give you, to try to do it, to set up the proportion different ways so you get used to it. I'm going to put 8 over 28 equals 6 over h. Alright, so now I multiply diagonally and I'll have 8h equals 6 times 28, which gives me 168. So h is going to equal 168 divided by 8. So h equals, you could do that mental math very simply. H equals 21. The height of the tree is 21 feet. Alright, moving on to the next one. Alright, this is the second type of problem that we're going to see today, but it's the same basic idea. Alright, we got two similar triangles. We got to find this side. You got to set up a proportion. Alright? It's not even necessary to read all this. I mean, so I'm not going to waste my time reading this. Okay? Esto es el segundo tipo de problema que tenemos en esta lección. Es básicamente la misma cosa. Tenemos dos triángulos similares y tenemos que encontrar este segmento, el largo de este segmento. Así que tengo que hacer una proporción. Alright, so let me just make sure I look at this correctly. You know what? Let me draw something here just so that we're on the same page. Alright, first I'm going to draw this triangle that's on the right. You don't have to draw this. I'm just drawing it so that we could analyze it correctly. X, Y, Z. Alright, this side is D and this side is 400, okay? Now look, what I'm using as my guide is look at where the 90-degree angle is. Alright? So if I were to put this triangle so that it's facing the same way as this triangle, alright, I would have this. Let me put the 90-degree sign here and here. Alright, so this side is 327 and this side is 600. Alright, so we're going to compare. I mean, again, there's several ways to write the proportion correctly. Let's do D over 327 equals 400 over 600. D over 327 equals 400 over 600. Let me just repeat that in Spanish real quick. Okay, dibujé los dos triángulos aquí para poder analizarlo correctamente. Lo que estoy usando para guiarme es, me estoy fijando en el ángulo recto. Ok, aquí, este lo dibujé igual aquí. Pero este triángulo me estoy fijando dónde está el ángulo recto, así que este lado es 327 y este lado es 600 y lo dibujé para que esté mirando para la misma dirección que este triángulo para estar seguro que lo estamos comparando correctamente. Ahora es simplemente hacer lo mismo, multiplicar diagonalmente y dividir. Una manera rápida de hacerlo en la calculadora sin escribir más nada es multiplicar estos dos números y lo que te dé lo divide con este número aquí y eso te da la respuesta. Es como, no una X, pero así para acá y para acá. Guys, here's a quick trick. Not a trick, but a fast way of doing this. Once you know the way the proportion is set up, instead of writing the rest, you just always do this. You multiply diagonally with the numbers that you have, divide with the other number, and that gives you the answer. Again, multiply diagonally, whatever that gives you, divide it with this number, and that gives you the part that's missing. That's how I would do it on the calculator. For the sake of anyone who doesn't get that, let me write it out. 400 times 327 equals 130,800. D times 600 is 600D. Sorry, my writing pad is messing up here. So D equals 130,800 divided by 600. So your answer is going to be, the answer is going to be right here, 218 feet, okay? La respuesta es 218 cuando divido esos dos números. Alright, moving on. Here, as you can see, it's the same thing. Again, if you're like unclear, if you can't see this clearly, use the right angle to guide you as to which side goes with which side. Si no lo pueden ver claramente o no están seguros, fíjense en el ángulo recto para guiarse qué lado corresponde a cuál lado en los dos triángulos similares. All right, so the D goes with the 35. D over 35 is going to equal the 24 over 42. So now I'm going to multiply diagonally, and whatever that gives me, divide it by 42, and that'll give you your answer. Again, if you're on your calculator, just do 24 times 35 equals, and then divide by 42. All right, when I multiply that, I get 840 equals 42D. So D equals 840 divided by 42. Okay, so 840 divided by 42 is going to give me my answer, which is, by the way, that was 42, is 20. 20 meters in this question. All right? Okay, I believe this is the last example. So again, to set up the proportion, use the right angles to orient yourself and make sure you're looking at it correctly. Okay, usen los ángulos rectos para guiarse y estar seguro que están comparando los lados correctos. All right, so this side D goes with this side 12. So D over 12 is going to equal 12 over 6. Again, multiply diagonally, divide, and you'll have your answer. I'll do it the slow way. 12 times 12 is 144. And that equals 6D. So D is going to equal 144 divided by 6. So D is going to equal 24. 24 meters. All right. And that should be the last example. Yes, it is. All right, guys, that concludes this lesson. Your assignments are in your student portal, and they're due by 6 a.m. the next day that you have my class. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys next class.